The Stanley Cup playoffs have begun, and they forgot to allow the Flames in. But it's not all bad news. Brad left the team. Dylan and Chris from the ArmChair GM podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. Let's get into it.
Well, Chris, there's a vacant GM posting in the Flames land right now.
So you're
Are you
saying
as
I've got
happy
a
as I am?
chance? Yeah, I mean, I'm not unhappy about it. I mean, in all honesty, I mean he did some really good things for the Flames. So I'm not gonna shit on him too hard. But I tell you, the last year or two has just been pretty abysmal.
Been pretty bad, and honestly, like I look at most of the good things that he has done, and not all of them, but some of them they kind of were his fault in my eyes, stemming from before. Like even if you look at the Kachuk and Gaudreau situations, um, from what I gather from podcasts that Kachuk has been on and that Guy Gaudreau has been on and stuff like that. Um, Basically, Brad's inability to have any foresight and give Kachuk a long term contract when he wanted it instead of just bridging him really fucked us over and made him have to make that trade. Like people love that trade. I still think it's going to work out just fine, but I'd still rather have Kachuk. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think he
no, for
did
sure.
well with the hand he was given, which is a narrative I hear lots. But I think that he gave himself that hand is not enough of the narrative.
Right. Yeah, basically the situation came from the fact that he shit the bed a couple of years previous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair.
And it's the same with the
And
Gaudreau thing.
same with Gaudreau, right? Exactly. Waiting until you know the last year to do that extension, all knowing that Johnny said he doesn't want to talk negotiation or talk contract through the season.
Mm-hmm.
When the fuck did he think it was going to happen at the end of the year? Hey, we've got a month. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, you do that for your star player. You do that shit the summer before.
I couldn't agree more.
Period. Yeah,
And
and
go ahead.
and then if you see that he's not going to do the sign, then you trade that asset and you acquire picks or you get something for that. You can't just let a guy like Gaudreau walk for nothing.
No, you
Like
can't.
you can't. I mean, I get why he left. I'm whatever, but you simply can't let him walk for nothing. And
You
and this
can't.
team has
And
been known for shit like that, right? Like, look at the players that we've let walk for nothing. It's so frustrating.
Mark Giordano, TJ Brody, like these are all recent things, right?
Sure. Yeah, these are all recent Brad things, right?
Um, and with Gaudreau too, like from what I gather, um, he got shortchanged on an extension, um, which is why he ended up saying, I don't want to talk extension for the season because Brad didn't offer him what he deserved, and
Yeah.
I honestly believe that because Johnny was coming off a down, quote unquote, a down year. But if you look at that year, what happened that year? Do you remember what happened that year?
Um, do you mean with the new coach coming in halfway through the season, and I guess starting the season with an interim, or no, they actually gave him the job, didn't they? They gave Ward the job for the 1 year. I can't remember, but But
Yeah.
you've got that. You've got, another Monahan injury. There's so many different things, right? Um,
The new head coach,
yeah, and
everybody on the team
what's
had a
so
bad year.
everybody on the team had a bad year, and isn't that when his
COVID.
dad had the health issues?
It
Yeah,
was
COVID.
COVID year, right?
Yeah,
So many things. Like
yeah,
if there's ever a year to overlook and be like, listen, I'm gonna pay you for what you have been for the past 10 years and not for what you were last year, especially when the guy, how old was he? 28 at the time? Something like
mhm.
that. Like that's 27, maybe. Like that's a good player and at a good age to sign long term and
Yeah.
give him based on what he's done,
Now
right?
you got to look at clear career numbers, right?
Exactly.
That's one thing Brad's kind of known for, right? He pays you according to your last season, opposed to what you've always been in your career.
Now some
Case
Kadri.
in point, Andrew Mangiapane. Like
Yep.
it's happened a number of times under Brad.
Mm-hmm.
That's. I mean, I'll give him all the credit in the world for his first 5 years, and his contract extensions. Then those
Lindholm.
contract those were awesome, right? Very
Mm-hmm.
team friendly. Like look at Lindholm. Lindholm is severely underpaid. Has
Severely.
been has been since the contract happened.
Yeah.
In
And
in
even
in
though
my
I'm not a
opinion.
huge Hannafin guy,
Yeah.
Hannafin's contract is good
Mhm.
for what the minutes he munches and the play he brings. His contract is good, right?
Absolutely.
And um I can't even think of any others that he did back then at this specific time. Dubé is not bad. Um
Well,
but
even signing Monahan and Gaudreau to the contract that they had previous, right? Keeping them
yep.
all under Geo, and which at the time either one of them should have been making more than Geo, in my opinion. I mean, sure they weren't the captain, and Gio was kind of as they said, the heart and soul of the team, which became very stale in my opinion, and especially in his later years with the club. Um, but I mean, those are good moments for a GM's resume, right?
Agreed.
They really are.
They
You know,
they
to to
absolutely are. And I agree. Like we need a new GM that that has some foresight and that can see, like, my thing with the foresight, it doesn't even end with Gaudreau and Kachuk and those things. It's also like when you have like a 36, I think, year old Norris Trophy winner, do you really think that his value is ever going to be anywhere near, like, the
Yeah.
second the next season starts, his value is going to start plummeting,
Yeah.
right? Like, you've got to make a move and not lose your captain a couple years later to a fucking expansion draft. You like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
there was zero, and it was what, 2 years after the fact. There was zero protection there for your captain. Like, you just every part of that was
Mm-hmm.
a bad move. Yeah, I agree.
And the Monahan thing, like, you could have seen like 3 years before, or like 2 years even um, before we had to pay a first round pick to offload his contract.
Yeah.
You could have seen that his health was turned, like, how many surgeries had he had at that point? Three in the last year. Like, there comes a point where you just got to be like, okay, good guy, locker room leader, apparently, you know, maybe it's time to not, like, have your all of your eggs in that basket. You know what I mean? And hoping
Well,
that he
yeah, because
comes back, completely repaired, when, like, who comes back after that many injuries completely repaired? Nobody. Like how
well,
long
that's
it
right.
took Eric Carlson to get back to whatever he is, right?
Yeah, yeah, not a defenseman.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you're absolutely right. You go through that whole process only to end up giving away a first round pick so somebody will take him.
Yeah.
Holy shit! For for that. Like that's for a season as well.
Yeah.
Like like a first round for a season. Just gross.
Imagine how
Absolutely
much better
disgusting.
it would be right now if we hadn't gotten rid of Monahan. I know that Johnny left before Monahan, the whole Monahan trade happened, but if he didn't think we were going to trade Monahan, he may have stayed. And if we had let that contract expire, put Monahan on LTIR and let the contract expire at the end of this year, then we wouldn't be staring down the barrel of a maxed out salary cap to start next year to the point where we don't even have enough roster players. Like you got to be able to
Yeah, that's
see more than Brad can see.
that's where I don't envy the guy, whoever the Flames end up choosing for the GM
Oh,
role.
it's going to be
I mean,
tough.
they're up tough with the cap. They need, I mean, obviously they need to trade at least a $4 million contract out of here just so we can ice a team. And
And
and it just gets tougher after that, right?
how many
Like,
disgruntled players and a disgruntled coach and
yeah,
disgruntled management staff. Like obviously Don Maloney doesn't seem like he's too pleased, and it having to add like there's so many like it's not going to be an easy thing for the new guy to handle, whoever it
no,
is.
it's not. No, it's not. And I mean, they're coming in where, we just described what they need to accomplish before next season starts. But the season after that is even more difficult. There's more decisions that need to be made because we've got more guys coming off contract that that I mean, they all deserve a raise. So, who do you pick? Who do you decide to keep? Who do you trade away? But you
Mm-hmm.
fucking need to trade something. You can't just let these star players walk away for nothing.
Absolutely not.
You
Even
know,
the
I mean,
not star players, like it's and this is kind of a point of view that I got from Pat Steinberg that I kind of agree with him on. With Backlund, I don't want him to walk for nothing, but I can understand it, and it's not really bad asset management because you've got a decade and a half out of your draft pick. That's it's not
in my
ideal, but it's acceptable.
for me, it's not.
No,
For me, it's not. He asked for a trade before this season started, right? He's he's talked about it, his displeasure with the team. He is coming off a career year, and he's still a very, very effective two-way forward. And if you get nothing for that, I'm sorry, I can't live with that. That's horseshit. We have to quit letting these guys walk away.
yeah.
I mean, sure, they can walk away, but we can't let them. It has to be on our terms,
I
on
think I'll
on a
be.
trade.
I think the way I think of it more is I'll be. I won't be as upset as I was for Gaudreau, or as I will be if it's Lindholm or even Hannafin or whatever. If it's Backlund,
Sure,
I still again. It's not ideal, and I won't be happy, but I would be able to accept it easier than the other guys.
yeah, I think we differ on that, but that's fine.
Fair enough.
Like I don't think Backlund owes us anything. Um, but
No,
I still think it's bad asset management because I mean I think he can easily sign a 3 or 4 year deal and be a very effective player on a cup contending team.
I agree. And
And
he's the type
and
of player that you go out and get when you're contending to be
100%.
that Blake
Yeah,
Coleman for Tampa, right?
yeah,
Or
absolutely.
yeah,
And if we can at least get a second out of that, I mean a second and a prospect in my opinion for
I think you could
for a
probably
player
get a
like that.
first off of Backlund right now.
Yeah, I think a second and a prospect or a first would be what I'd be going after if I was the new GM for the Flames.
Yeah. Um. And like the new GM too, he's got a lot of no trade and
That's the
no
thing.
move clauses to fucking deal with, and some expense. Like it is going to be a sought after position because it's an NHL GM position. But as far as NHL GM positions, it won't be. If you know
Well, for
Toronto
many
is
reasons.
with that,
For many reasons, right?
yeah,
Right. You got a building that the players and media and everybody complains about. You have an ownership that is clearly a problem with the way they always have their hands in there. What do they call it? Micromanaging.
yeah,
You've got a real tough situation with the roster that's coming in, or sorry, the roster that's here, seemingly or appears to be butting heads with the coach. Plus, you have the contracts that are there. Like it's like holy shit.
yeah,
Like it's a bad situation for whoever they bring in. Like there's not a lot of upside other than the fact that they'll be making decent money at this point. Plus a
yeah,
market where they're going to rip you to shreds if you do anything wrong.
yeah.
Like I don't know, man. It's a tough environment in Calgary right now. There's a lot of things that need to change. I'll say.
100%, 100%.
You
Um, you listened to the press conference today with John Bean and Don Maloney.
Yeah.
What were your biggest takeaways, like positively? Because I actually have a couple of positive takeaways from that.
I feel like when it comes to Don, he's not going to piss around. I think he's gonna yeah, I think he's gonna make some real tough decisions here in the next maybe 2 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and 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 start stripping things down because I think it's needed, and you could see the frustration in his voice. Obviously, one of his good friends leaves the team or whatnot, but you could you could hear the frustration with him. Like
Mhm.
it was very noticeable.
I agree, and obviously he's good friends with Treliving. He went
Mhm.
off. I listened to a radio hit with him afterwards, and he also went off for quite some time about his friendship with Brad. Like it's not just lip service there, right? So he's obviously pretty
Yeah.
torn up.
Yeah, well, I mean, he almost started to cry at the beginning of it, right?
Yeah.
So you could tell that there's some friendship there and some emotion. Um, so I found it interesting that that Brad told him on Wednesday before the Sharks game. So
Mhm.
I found to be interesting.
Well, it kind of makes sense because that was right after they got eliminated.
It was right after they got eliminated. Plus, that whole situation where Brad spent the entire practice at the bench, and the writing was on the wall. It seemed pretty clear to me that he was watching his last practice at the Dome.
Yeah.
But
And yeah, no, for sure. Um, for me, one of the best, the couple best things that I kind of took out of that, one of them was from the press conference, and one of them was from the radio hit. But from the press conference, he said he doesn't think he's the man for the job,
mm.
which to me means he's pretty self aware. And he said that he wants a forward thinking, progressive guy to or girl or whatever to do the job, and I like that because I think that um one thing even our coaching kind of proved this year is that forward thinking is necessary in today's NHL. Um,
Well, it is right. We hear a lot of people talk about Daryl's style and how the NHL has changed, and which I get it, it has. Um, that doesn't mean that his style isn't effective. Because the one thing that I've said for most of the year, that when people are been complaining about Daryl's style and how outdated it is, like less than a calendar year ago, he won the Coach of the Year. So
I
I
think you
mean,
also need the right players, right?
sure,
And
sure,
I
but
don't
but
think
I'm
that. Daryl's style includes a lot of old veterans, and I think that you can probably play that style with guys who aren't old and slow and hard of hands when it comes to finishing. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. But I mean, if you look at the couple of guys that have, changed, we'll say, I mean, there's not a, if anybody said that Gaudreau would excel under Sutter, they were lying,
Yeah. And I don't
right?
think
Like,
Gaudreau played his other system very, very much.
I mean, he started back checking a lot more,
Back
which
checking, yes, but he wasn't digging in corners or anything like that. Like he like
no,
maybe
but that's not
sometimes.
his job, right?
No,
That's not his job.
he
He's
had
the
Kachuk for that,
That's
right?
right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. He was the playmaker, not the puck getter, right?
yeah.
I don't know. It's it's going to be interesting because whoever comes in, at least my hope is that they have Daryl on a short leash, and if things start to look like they're getting tough in the room, or Daryl starts pulling his stubborn bullshit again, he's got to be out. Like
Mhm.
you can't waste another season with him.
Yeah.
I mean, his contract be damned. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like
So
if that's their only reason, just look how much they're going to miss out on not being in the playoffs. They make more money when the Flames are in the playoffs than Daryl's $8.4 million that they'll just have to give him
exactly.
over 2 years.
As we're recording right now, we haven't heard from Sutter, so we don't know what's going on. But my prediction is he's probably got till like January 1st to get things on track. I don't think he's going to be fired until January 1st at least, if he's going to be fired.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of my hesitation when Don said what he said that you're excited about the progressive forward thinking and blah blah blah, is that's very much going to collide with Daryl.
Oh,
And
100%.
so I don't know. I don't know what kind of leash Daryl's going to have, but I would imagine it's going to be extremely short.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, January to me is, I mean,
A little late.
it's like the latest that I would feel comfortable. Bring in a new coach in that late, if things are going off the rails, means that we've just wasted another year. But
Right.
but either way, I mean, Daryl's going to have to learn to play within our system if that's the kind of GM that they bring in. If not, he's going to have to recognize it, and they're just going to have to part ways.
Yeah. I honestly, um I'd prefer switching him out as soon as possible, but
Mhm.
I don't see that happening simply because of the contract. That's it.
That's the only thing, right? And that's another knock on the owners, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I mean, look at Vancouver. I mean, aren't they still paying three coaches?
I think Travis Green just came off or is about to come off
Is
in
it?
July or
Yeah,
whatever. But yeah.
exactly. So the end of June, his contract comes off, right? But that's the kind of thinking that gets the Flames into trouble, right? Is that mentality from ownership? You know, the ownership group, they're all oil and gas guys. They make a shit ton of money.
Exactly.
Like, and it's a fucking write off for them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell me they're not putting that shit through their business as it is. Let's try, guys.
Well, I don't think we need to discuss that too much more. We don't know what's going to happen. Uh, know what we'd like to happen, that's for sure, but don't really know. Do you want Conroy?
As GM or just
Yeah,
scouting?
as GM because that seems to be
No, no,
the
absolutely not.
only name that's really out there so far.
I don't in any way. I mean, he's learned how to be a GM from Brad.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know that Conroy really has that hard nose mentality that I think he would need to be a leader.
I don't think he has
Um,
it in him to cut people.
exactly. He's
Yeah.
too nice of a guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't I think it would be a mistake for them to give Conroy that job. No offense to Conroy.
Yeah.
I just simply think he's too nice of an individual to be an effective general manager.
I don't think he would take offense to that, which is
Right.
part of the problem.
Yeah, right.
Not that I know him personally, but from what I gather. So let's take a little break for some DraftKings and we'll come back and make some playoff predictions. And we even have a little bit of a wager we're going to place on one of the series. So let's get it.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's NBA playoff time. That means big hoops action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Get in on the excitement of every game with the touch of a button. New customers can make a $5 pregame money line bet and score $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Plus, everyone can score a no sweat same game parlay every day during the NBA playoffs. Open the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place a same game parlay on any NBA game. If it doesn't hit, you'll get a bonus bet back up to $10. Download the app now and sign up with code THPN. New customers can make a $5 pregame moneyline bet and score $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
We've got a few games already done, or a couple games already done, and a couple games already started. Since it is day one of the playoffs right now, but we're still going to make our playoff first round playoff predictions, and we have a little wager we're going to do on one of them. So let's just start in the West. What do you think in this Colorado and Seattle matchup? Quite interesting.
I mean, it's I think it's a mismatch personally. I think Colorado's going to roll over them. Um, yeah, I think Colorado's going to continue to be super strong in the postseason, even without Kadri. You can
And
believe it.
Landeskog.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So, no, I think Colorado's coming out of the out of that series.
How many games?
I'll say
I want to
six.
say five, but
Yeah, I want to say five as well, but I think it'll be six.
well, I'll put five and you're six. Um, Dallas and Minnesota. Minnesota's up in game one right now, 1-0. Yeah. But personally, I still think Dallas has too much scoring depth, and both teams have very good goaltending. Both teams have pretty good defense. But when it comes down to it, I think Dallas's scoring depth is going to win out. But it is going to be 7, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going seven as well, but I think it's going to be the Wild.
Why is that?
Um, I think Kaprizov is uh is he playing in the playoffs? He is, right? He's back.
Yeah, I think he just got back. I don't know if
Yeah, he
he's
just got back.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if he's on the ice right now. I was pretty sure he was coming back for the playoffs. I honestly think his playmaking ability and his firepower is going to be what leads them to a first round victory for against Dallas. I mean, Dallas has a lot of. You're right. They have a lot of firepower. Power. You can't discount what Ben can do in the playoffs, and
Kaprizov
um,
has the goal, so he's playing.
he's playing.
Yeah.
See, told you. Um, the Ben and that fucking guy that kills the Flames, right, Mister Joe.
Pavelski,
Like,
he's always been so. I hate that I like him as a player so much because he
yeah,
is exactly what we were missing in the playoffs last year. I think
he's exactly what Kachuk should have been.
standing in front of the net. Yeah,
Be,
and
being
like
difficult to play
Kachuk isn't
against.
really good. good tipper, but he
Yeah,
stopped standing
absolutely.
in front of the net until he got
Yeah,
to Florida, and now he's doing it again. But anyways,
he spent all his time chasing around a second pairing defenseman for
Klingberg.
some reason. Yeah.
Um, so you've got Dallas, or you've got Minnesota in 7. I've got Dallas in 7. Interesting. And you think mostly Kaprizov's going to be the difference in that guy?
I think Kaprizov, and then I think Fleury as well.
Fleury?
Yeah.
I'm curious if he's playing because I think Gustafson's the better goalie out of the two right now.
I mean, I think he's the better goalie of the two as well. But I think Fleury's gonna get into a few games here. Yeah, it's Gustafson's playing tonight. But
Yeah, he is.
I think given that, so I think they have the ability to do a 1A, 1B, or at least play Fleury 2 of the games minimal and still come out with a decent record from it.
I think that is one thing that if Minnesota does go far, I don't think they will because I think Dallas is going to win this one. But if Minnesota does go far, it is going to be based on their very strong goaltending, and if they do, it's going to be if their goalie has a bad start, having absolutely no problem just pulling him right away and putting the other guy in. Right?
Yeah.
Don't even risk it, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
exactly. Agreed.
Yeah, but I think Dallas has that one. How about this Vegas and Winnipeg series? It's interesting
I
because Brossois played for Winnipeg, right? So he's going to be the Vegas's starter, but all the Winnipeg shooters know him, but he knows all of them. So interesting.
Yeah, I think Vegas in 5. I was gonna say 4, but I'll give Hellebuck 1 win.
Yeah.
I think talent wise, I think Vegas just has too much firepower.
You said 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go Vegas in 6. Um, I think that the talent on Winnipeg is pretty undeniable. Like it's not the same as Vegas's talent. I think Vegas has more defensive talent, which is important. And so I think they'll win, but I do think that um Winnipeg will throw together a couple of wins.
Yeah.
Um
Yep.
Oilers Kings.
I think that's going 7 with LA on top.
Me too. I guess we're allowed to agree on some things, right?
I suppose, eh?
What's your reasoning other than your hatred of
I think defensively they're just a superior team.
goaltending
And
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 defense?
goaltending. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're down right now, but I mean, I think through a 7-game series, I think they have more tools.
I think they're deeper up front. Obviously, they don't have the 2 or 3 star forwards that Edmonton has, but I think they're deeper up front as far as their third and fourth line. I think that last year Edmonton didn't have, or sorry, Edmonton was brought to 7 games by LA, who didn't have Doughty, didn't have Fiala, didn't have Gavrikov, didn't have Corpusalo, didn't have Copley.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Those are
that's
some key names, right?
right.
Yeah,
Both
absolutely.
of the
I agree.
goalies who are both way better than Quick at this
Well,
point in
that's right.
Quick's career.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think it would be funny to have Quick play a couple of playoff games against LA in the second round.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he'd relish in that. He might win that.
Exactly. I was going to say because of that reason, I think he would be lights out.
Right. Well, shall we move on to the East?
Let's do it.
Boston, Florida. Boston already put the first game away. Kachuk scored, but that doesn't mean much when they lost.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Boston who just set a record for wins and the second wild card team. I mean, if it goes 5, I'd be surprised.
Okay, I was gonna say 5. Do you have 4 or 5?
I'm going to say 4.
Sweep city. I do
Yeah,
think that I think that Florida honestly outplayed Boston today from the what I saw of the game.
right.
Allmark kind of stood on his head there, but I think that
That's how you win a series in Stanley Cup playoffs.
yeah, but I do think that Boston or Florida will throw one win together. I just think that what they have up front specifically is a little bit too much for Boston to just sweep.
Yeah, that's
But
fair.
that's just me. I actually don't
Yeah,
have any sweeps. I don't think. No, I don't.
I'll say it like Daryl, right? It's a waste of 8 days.
Yeah. See, I think it's a waste of 10 days. But
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. Um. Well, I'll be absolutely amazed if Tampa doesn't put Toronto away in 7 games.
Yeah, I'm thinking 6.
Oh yeah, not the classic Toronto game 7 collapse.
No, no, not this year.
They're not
They're
good
gonna
enough,
wish
eh?
no, they're gonna wish they could do it and or do their collapse in game 7.
Um, I as good as Samsonov has been, I just don't think that their goalies are going to hold it together enough. I don't even know if Samsonov or Murray, which one's going to play. I don't know which one's injured, which one's not. I think one of them's injured, but
I think Murray's injured again, isn't he?
I think he's always fucking injured. It's the
Yeah.
dumbest thing they could have done is gone and spent cap space on Murray, even though it was given to
You mean
them.
like the Oilers and Campbell?
Yeah.
He
I
wasn't good
thought
enough for
Campbell was going to
Toronto.
do better than he did this year, to be honest. I didn't think he'd do very well, but I didn't think he'd be matching Markstrom's numbers, that's for sure.
I didn't think Markstrom was gonna match Markstrom's numbers either.
Me neither. Um, let's quickly do Carolina, who already won 1 game, and the Islanders.
I think that's gonna go 7 with Carolina on top.
See, I've got Islanders in 7.
Nice.
Interesting. What's your reasoning behind that one?
Um, I just think Brendan Moore's system is really strong. Um, and I think they're way better defensively than the Islanders.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they're about the same defensively. I think I think they're about the same offensively because of the lack of Svechnikov. I think they're about the same offensively, and with Barzal coming back, um, Barzal and Horvat are
Right.
going to be pretty good down the middle, I think, and
Yeah.
I think Pulak and Halleck. I always space and tongue tie those two names, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're both really good. And honestly, I think the only edge is Sorokin is just better than Anderson, and there's really no denying that.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that a full
I
Carolina lineup with Svechnikov and Pacioretty fucking absolutely
Yeah.
six
Yeah,
games
they'd
for
roll.
Carolina. But
Mhm.
with how the rosters are right now with the injuries, I'm going Carolina or sorry, Islanders in 7.
That's fair. I think Horvat's gonna wish that he didn't make his comments there last week or the week before that.
I
What a stupid fucking thing to say live on air.
I know. I don't think that's what he meant, but also I think that it's fucking hilarious that he said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's make a little wager on this last series, the old New York, New Jersey series.
Hey,
Um we already
what are your
talked about
terms?
this one. We know that we have the opposite teams. I don't know how many games you got, but I've definitely got New York in 7. Um, the
Wow.
number of games don't matter for this wager, I don't think, though. It's just who wins. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. I've got Jersey in 6.
Is it basically just speed based for you?
It is.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
See, and for me, I think that New York isn't as fast, but they still are pretty fast. But I
Mhm.
think that playoff Truba and playoff Kreider and
That's fair.
possibly the X factors, I think, are the two guys that they brought in with, Kane and Tarasenko, who are both playoff producers. Um,
I also I think there's a good chance that they can be difference makers, but I think it would be hilarious in Ranger fashion if they brought all those guys in and shit the bed in the first round.
fair enough.
Just because I've always been I've always had a dislike for the Rangers. I don't know why. I think it's I think it's Henrik. I've never liked the guy.
Oh, really funny.
Yeah,
I've never
and
had any thoughts either way. I he's a great goalie, but or he was a great goalie, but
yeah. And I find the organization, not the players, but the organization to be arrogant.
Messier.
Mm. Yeah, I don't like Missy.
Mm-hmm. Um, I don't know. I think for this series, I think the reason we went this series is because you've got New Jersey going to the finals, and I've got New York going to the finals.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
here's the wager. For those of you who don't know, Chris has been drinking non-alcoholic beer for the last little while. He's had a little bit of a health issue, but I'm not sure when he's allowed to drink again. But when he is, if New York wins this series, Chris is going to have his first 6 pack be the absolute piss that is Budweiser.
Well,
And and
just because Dylan hates me apparently.
mhm,
Well, now I'm more confident in the Devils.
mhm. I don't know, man. The Rangers have the experience. What do you want me to do if the Devils win?
Well, see, my go to was, I mean, I could make you drink a shitty beer as well, but I I really want to see you drink. I mean, I'll let you choose the beer, but
Yeah,
you're going to drink it out of a skate or a boot.
a skate, a boot, or a shoe, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can do that. I don't want to,
Yeah.
but I can do it. Do I get to
Yeah.
wash it first?
No, no, you take it off your foot, put beer in and drink it.
Fair enough. Oh,
I'll bring the shoe. I'll walk from here to there.
okay. Oh my god. Don't even air it out first. Fuck, Oilers are up 2-0 now. Dallas
Yeah.
tied it up though.
Did they? Yeah.
Honestly, and I know that we've already covered this, but um I do think that Edmonton has a chance against LA, but I think that LA is the only team that can put Edmonton away as far as in the first 2 rounds anyways. I really I hate saying that because obviously I hate Edmonton, but um I just think that LA is too good defensively as a whole, and they have much better goaltending and depth. But I could see Edmonton winning that series too. But I still think, fuck,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, they
I
got the
honestly, if they
excitement.
get past LA, I'd be pretty terrified of them going far.
Yeah. I mean, I never think the Oilers are going to do anything worthwhile. So
I mean, I have been saying that for years, but they actually went out and did the thing that they were supposed to do for the first, like, as an organization for the first time in recent memory at the deadline. Which is actually get a good fucking defenseman that can play defense and take some minutes away from fucking Nurse, who actually isn't very good, but still is a lot better when he's not playing 30 minutes a game.
I still love his contract.
I love his contract too. It's my favorite contract in the league.
It is absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there it is, everybody. Dylan and Chris have made their picks. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. Yeah, go ahead and pick all eight if you like, and we'll have a conversation about it. Don't forget to tune in at the end of round one for Dylan's surprise drink, or whatever you want to call it.
I don't
But
know,
if you
man. I
want, do
don't
you
think
want
you'll
to?
be doing it. I don't think I'll be doing it. I think you'll be doing it. But when can you drink again? Anyways, probably still a couple months away.
Yeah, reassessed in August.
Well, we'll kick it off to start next season with you drinking Budweiser as your first beers.
I mean, that's if they're still in business.
I guess you'll just have to buy some and let it sit piss warm.
Yeah, it's bad enough cold.
It is. It's so fucking bad.
Yeah,
I'd rather
that's
drink a decent beer out of a shoe.
yeah, that's fair. That's one of my favorite things. Everybody's up in arms about Bud Light and all that stuff right now, but I've been boycotting Budweiser my entire adult life. It's shit. It's so
Yeah.
this whole thing that's been happening the last couple of weeks means nothing to me.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let's have some fun. We've got eight eight uh eight series going on right now in
Oh,
round one in the playoffs. Stanley Cup is one of my favorite times of the year.
me
So-
too. Dallas just scored again.
Oh, see, I'm already looking bad on that series.
Oh, cheers, everybody. Fuck the Oilers and fuck the Leafs and go pretty much any team that's not them. Cheers.
Cheers.